My settings yesterday were 38 and 40 from my Facebook live broadcast. In training, to deliver a 40-minute mat or a 40-minute interaction, to get used to the time frame, so the other one is 38 minutes, so I start the 38 minutes, I start the 40 minutes, and now I've got 2 countdowns going that will give me 2 minutes before the end, if it's 40 minutes, and then a 40-minute, what'd you call that, an alarm, go off. So. Greeting, my name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, licensed presenters, the Core New Core, my patrons, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor, student, or a human being. Because you don't have to care anything about Pilates in order to learn about core new tension and be much better off in how you move as a human being. So, getting left behind. I think it's remarkable that so much of the self-improvement, merchandise, monetizing on social media has almost been overwhelmed now by everybody that I know teaching over the web, and many of them talking directly about Zoom, or not saying so, but maybe using it as well. Consider scheduling. I've said that before. Have your income stream that you develop online not compete against the time frames of the income stream you want to go back to teaching in person. And in seeing this happen and rubbing up against different attitudes, I really have to empathize with someone who's been teaching Pilates since they were young and made a business out of it and had other things going on and now being challenged by it all in the midst of this pandemic and being pressed to go opposite of close and personal to stepping away and only working through the medium. And yet, man, whether you're good or bad, or you're there already, or you're just getting into it, the harbor is full of boats. And as such, is creating a technical screening of those people who treasure more of what they have to do or don't want to go to that extent. Because they don't need the money, I guess, which a lot of the heart of Pilates is all about, affluence and what has tried to maintain it. For a variety of reasons. And so my next note is about, in terms of getting left behind, there's not only a technological screening going on to where the culture is learning how to, forced to learn how to extend themselves across the latest technology, and that won't go away, I don't think. So plan for that to be in place and continue when you go back to teaching in person. If you ever get back to that. Don't need to go back to that. I don't know. Maybe you just say, well, I'll do what I can when I can, and I'll change when I want to change. But my point is, to the extent that you start now and build up a resonance of what you present at a particular time, on a particular day, no matter what time or day that is, somewhere else around the world, if your message is consistent, if there's something to resonate with, over time, I think you'll get the kind of numbers and attendance that will make teaching in person a choice of luxury rather than one of necessity out for income. And also, you know, getting left behind, because as the culture goes off into technology, that state of mind or conceptualization of Pilates becomes that much more diverse and embellished and staggers the mind in terms of diversity and color and approach and point of view and all of it. And so to the extent that you only want to maintain the culture that you grew up in, you get left behind as a true historical recreationist, because the culture itself has moved beyond that. Except what is beyond them is beyond them. Which I think takes me like to number 2. Not really, hold on. You'll do a better job of decompressing your spine if you know how to engage your muscles in core nu tension. You'll do a better job decompressing your spine if you know how to engage in core nu tension. I am baffled at the lack of recognition, but grown inured to it, and teach for those to come to wonder, where did this come from? Well, it came from a particular point of view. It came from it ended up coming from a sensation. You can feel engaging in. You can see I'm rotating my arms on this axis. I'm rotating around my ears at this axis. And the oppositional rotation between those two axes, it's real, and it's part of our evolutionary capability biomechanically. And I'm the guy holding the lie out to what I consider to be the fact of the matter, and that it's a big mountain of recognition about the biomechanics that the body engages in to move itself through space. This is my 20-year anniversary of a self-published book, but 20 years ago, I paid a lot of money to have a lot of these made because there was no other way to make just a few of them. So, core retention. If you really want to decompress your spine, then I would suggest you absorb this imagery and then pursue it on your own sensationally, because when you tuck and arch at your hips, you're creating a rotation at the hips, right? And when you roll your shoulders all the way back or all the way forward, that's a rotation along that axis. And when you curl around your ears, that's rotation around this axis, and those axes of those dynamics that your body, our bodies, are capable of, are what allow us to make a rotational grip here and a rotational grip here, and in the engagement of the effort, it presses the two axes apart. So core nu tension is inherently eccentric. Because when you tighten into this fist and you tighten into this fist, it's like all the excess that comes out of the deep going into, that dross, if you will, it pushes out. Same thing, ears to shoulders. If you want to decompress your spine, just explore either oppositional rotation between your ears and your shoulders. And that is much quicker and easier to get a sensation of than finding the oppositional rotation at the shoulders connecting into the rotational dynamic at the hips. To get there, you have to fly TVA. And TVA stands for transverse abdominis, right? Key group of muscles that connects what the rotational dynamic is in the shoulders, you know, from the bottom of the rib cage down into the hips. And then you start exploring Old Joe, where he says lock knees and pointed toes. And you see Newer Joe, meaning later in his life, with soft knees and end pointed metatarsals. So when you're able to rotate at two different places that are connected to each other, that are intimately entwined in facilitating the movement of the overall organism, the human being, right? People who know me want to assume in their mind there has to be something else, bigger than or other than, that matters. That can't matter as much because of the easily judged messenger. But if you ignore the messenger, which I'm hoping you're doing, and evaluate for yourself, because core nu tension is sensational, and the point of view of MMP, which is the point of view of Pilates, is sensational. And if those two sensations speak to you, then you can take them for what they're worth. So in addition to an elastic like this, I have an elastic like this to show vertebra right in the body. And so if you want to decompress your spine, core nu tension from hips to shoulders, that happens. The decompression is drawn open by the tension between the two axes. The same up here. drawn open because of the engagement. So, know what you know. Know what you know. NNTE. NNTE. So, KWYK, know what you know. And then NNTE. NNTE. No need to explain. And no need for approval. Because if you understand coordinated tension, you can understand it intellectually, but when you actually find a connection to it, an ability to engage in it, and have the concept in your head, the awareness that oppositional rotation between axes in the body creates coordinated tension. That's my name for it because I couldn't find one anywhere else. So KWYK, know what you know. Coordinated tension is the way the body, all of this eccentric you hear talk about, if you want to accomplish it biomechanically within the body, this is how the body does it. You can wish that there wasn't such specificity in what's going on, and that you can pretend all you want to about imagery and abstraction, and that too is being left behind, I think, because there's more and more passion showing up for the method, and with that, more and more illumination of what that passion is all about. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines and see behind the curtain. Connect the dots. Find the dynamic connection from the dots of rotation in the human body. Now you know what's coming next, right? So the batteries in the light are the ability to rotate. When you connect that energy, I'm just making a metaphor. I'm not saying it's literal science at all. But when you connect the capacity here and the capacity here to rotate, you get a distribution of energy. You get more uniform engagement. Like uniform light happens in fluorescence. When you engage in coordinated tension in your body, the whole engagement is a reaching into the physics that's already there. The whole engagement is reaching into the physics that's already there. Evaluate points of view. Add 2 and 2. Know how to get paid and feel really good about it for them and for you. But know how to charge less than you could rather than wish you could charge more than you can. Direct your thinking and Geist.